Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Alright. Oh look, I have the cam. I always forget to use this. I don't know why it wasn't working last week when we had to go, fix some things sometimes, but I'm going to turn that down because we want to be able to see the orders. And let's check Discord here really quickly first. There is some stuff happening. Hello. Fran did not want to get up after a 4-day weekend. Well, it's early as you wake up. Man. Alright, so let's look at what happened. So they did trade on the 20th here. Just a little bit. And they were trading down. Well, now that's interesting. But the question is this unrolling upwards going to continue or not? And the spot that they touch kind of makes it look like they tried range extension lower and came back to the middle. So it could really go either way here. Oh wait, and at ES. Oh, ES went down. That was the 19th? Right there? What was that? Oh yeah, that was the Monday. That was Monday. Monday we went down. Curious. But it was a low, it was like basically a holiday, right? Futures still traded on the holiday. No big deal. I'm expecting a muted day, seeing as we have FOMC minutes out on Wednesday and then unemployment claims on Thursday. So let's see if I pull this up here. I'm sure we've got more than just that. Forex Factory. Okay, so we actually don't have any US news today. What about tomorrow? Flash manufacturing, existing home sales, and then the FOMC. Core retail sales for Canada, unemployment claims. Yeah, this is not a huge... not a huge news week. This is kind of the spot where we tend to have problems, isn't it? Okay, but I do see some buy-in coming through there. So we're just gonna kind of sit back here, I guess. I have a quarter of a Bitcoin private now. Yeah. Oh yes, I guess we should post our links, huh? Let's do that. Ooh, Moira is back in the support meta, guys. That's so great. No, wait. Anna is back. Did I say Moira? Bleh. Yeah, but that means I'm signed in as the wrong person. There we go. let's grab our charts here. It reads 74 today. We need to get more volume coming through in Bitcoin. The volume is not the best for us to be going and making a new high. So that's where that's at. Bitcoin JPY is up big time. Yeah, that's interesting. Where's regular Bitcoin? Yeah, my phone is making noise in my headphones. I'm like, what the heck is that? Is the FBI listening to me? Probably. Probably. Okay, so how do I get when this isn't oh man, yeah, it's up big time. Okay. Up big time in Japanese terms, but not necessarily in US dollar denominations. Oh, but we have had a good move up here. I don't know. So there's that. Look, I think that Bitcoin Cash is lagging. Yes, sir, it is. Interesting. They had that come off there, and now it's ranging. What about Ethereum? Ethereum too. Well, that's interesting. So what do you guys, what do you think the trade here is? Huh? Oh, let's make sure you guys are up here. Hey Seth, heard about US debt sales news? No. Okay, they did take another tick up there, but they're fading it. Oof, I don't want to touch this. US debt sales. Is that what we're looking for? Ah. From Reuters. Bond investors who have been on edge over signs of growing inflation and possibly a more aggressive Federal Reserve will have their work cut out for them as the U.S. government seeks to sell $258 billion worth of debt this coming week. The Treasury Department began ramping up its debt issuance earlier this month to fund the expected growth in borrowing tied to the tax overhaul. Analysts worry about the combination of a rising Buffett deficit, faster inflation, and more Fed rate increases have ratcheted up the risk of owning treasuries. Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to own treasuries long term right now. For sure. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. So, I mean, the trend is still down for sure. And I would definitely prefer to take my shorts. But the E-mini, the way that the E-mini is moving right now is kind of seems like that's the biggest short-term driver. But this volume is really weak. We're seeing a lot of cross volume. See here, the ZN is actually selling. Well, ZB is buying. Yeah. So anyways, I was going to say for the cryptocurrency markets, the question is, do you short Bitcoin or do you buy Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash? I would think you would buy Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash here, but I'm not quite sure what's going on. Some weird movement. Tether, though. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure what the best play there is. Probably the best play is that you need to have some actual Bitcoin, but yeah, since that's the one they seem to want to buy over there. Well, let's just play out a little bit and take a few bites of food. I mean, it looks like Trump is tweeting. There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections. There's no evidence that has happened in the past or that it will happen this time, so I'd invite Mr. Trump to stop whining and make his case to get votes. The President Obama quote just before the election, that's because he thought crooked Hillary was going to win and he didn't want to rock the boat. When I easily won the Electoral College, the whole game changed and the Russian excuse became the narrative of the Dems. Yeah, he's been hitting that pretty hard the past weekend. I wonder why he's so particularly focused on it at this time. You know, why wasn't he tweeting that like 6 freaking months ago? But I wonder, you know, since he's on a rampage here, I wonder if he'll tweet something that actually affects us. It's been a while since he's done that. Yeah.
President Trump tweeting a surprise.
See here that Walmart missed their earnings, so that's why the E-mini is having a rough time. And it would be a pretty big drop from where we were on the 16th. I also see this, show you this. Donald Trump. Mitt Romney has announced he is running for Senate from the wonderful state of Utah. He will make a great senator and a worthy successor to Orrin Hatch and has my full support and endorsement. Well, okay. He's got to be trying to set something up. And of course, Mitt Romney falls right for it. Thank you, Mr. President, for the support. I hope that over the course of the campaign, I also earned the support and endorsement of the people of Utah. And they point out, you know, quite a while ago, if Trump had said 4 years ago the things he says today about the KKK, Muslims, Mexicans, the disabled, I would not have accepted his endorsement. This was back when he was criticizing Trump. Yep, and of course Mitt Romney has said many awful things about Mitt Romney. So his Trump is obviously has to be an attempt at a 4D chess move. Force Mitt Romney to accept your endorsement. I have to say, Mitt Romney just accepting it like that is kind of a dumb move on his part. Like, too many dumb moves like that, he could actually lose. Which I really don't think is possible. But man, if anybody could do it, it'd be Mitt Romney. LOL, Mitt Romney, just have to give it to him. He has been a lot. I just, this whole Mitt Romney running in Utah thing is just kind of mind-boggling to me because, at least on my feed, like my Facebook feed, I don't see anybody that thinks at this point that Mitt Romney is a principled person. I think that they all pretty much believe that he's just doing whatever to get into office. And then, you know, another thing that he did that is making a lot of people say that is that he's already signed off on gun control. So when he was running for president, he was very much like, oh, ignore what I did when I was in Massachusetts. I'm totally all for gun rights. And now he's already doing things that pretty much everybody in Utah would oppose. Or he's saying things that pretty much everybody in Utah would oppose. And yet everybody still thinks he's going to win. So I still think he's going to win, but I have to admit that that whole setup there is like the perfect recipe for an upset. you know what I mean? Like the assumption that he's just going to win is too much to be rational. He's saying things that gives a high probability of people being upset at him. I don't know. You have to go in, you know, like on the betting markets. I would say that there's probably going to be like a 90% chance that Mitt Romney wins in the betting markets. I would go into the betting markets and say he's going to lose. Just not even that I think he's going to, but just based off of the theory that his probability is going to decrease in the next, 9 months? Maybe. So now we are coming down here, and the 5-year has really been driving it. So I could take a short here. Okay, now they're absorbing there. I don't know. This one's a hard move. Okay, so see some stuff here in, what is it? Oh, I have a notification. This friend requests. There's friend requests on Twitch. Did not know that. Oh, I will have to accept that, I guess. And see what happens. Oh, he's trading futures. Okay, absolutely then. Absolutely. They're still holding it. I don't know. I mean, I think that the 5-year is going to win. Yeah. We could take this one from behind, maybe. Nope. Or we could take it at the view op, I guess. Well, that was a pretty hard hit there. I'm gonna get rid of that one. I think that they're gonna flood through. The E-mini looks set for recovery at the moment. In fact, it's making a pretty strong run. So this still fits in with the E-mini being the driver right now. Yeah. Well, let's just watch. I guess I made the mistake there trying to take it at the view up. It wasn't necessarily a bad trade, but certainly a bad spot. I probably should have taken that, and then when it didn't immediately go at 10, and then I should have got broken out, break even, but instead I got -3 on it. You see how it's only taking a few hundred for us to move up in CF? So this is highly suspicious considering how much short volume there was. So that doesn't necessarily tell us what's going to happen though, right? Because that could be an indication that there's some heavy buyers in there. That could be an indication that this is a head fake. Oh, here's a good headline. Trump's CNN vendetta could backfire against him. Yeah, probably not. I don't see how you could go against CNN and then not work out for you. It's just too easy of a target. Okay, so now the short volume's coming back in. Really? Now that's a new one. 200 sitting on the bid in ZN and they didn't take it. That is odd. Very, very odd. $500. The robot's all broken? Because normally if there's 200 on the bid, our robot sells that. That doesn't just sit there for very long. Yeah, well, the indication that it's slow. Okay, now the 5-year went. Well, they pretty much have to go through the VWAP now after that. They're not looking super committed at the moment, though, do they? There's CF, just at the same spot. There was an iceberg here before, right? Or was it at 025? It was at 025. And interestingly enough, I'm not seeing movement in the E-mini either. Yeah. Okay. Curious. Oh, they already turned there in ZF. There was a decent number of contracts that they traded through, but they pushed right through it like it was butter. Now it might just flip the other way if ZF gets another tick down. 4. Come on. Well, they didn't care too much about that one. It's kind of doing the same thing. It ticked up, but there wasn't significant volume in ZF, and in ZN they're absorbing it all. So I think that the guys in ZF, they want to go. They want to stay short. See this? That's the 2000 coming up. Now that looks like a spread trade. Well, what does that mean? Is that somebody exiting a flattener? That one was kind of weird. It was definitely spreading there, though. Well, so far they're ticking down again. So they're not anything at 0.25 anymore. That could be a lure. No, so that went way too easily. Okay, so there when it did tick back up. E-mini's still not moving. Robot buying it there. I have to say. Probably a robot buying it there. Significant selling. Iceberg holding. Whoa. Okay, now they're attacking the 22. Nobody's hit 080 yet in the end. So it's a good place to reset things. Okay. Well, a lot of people took that as a short signal, but it still held. And I say that because there was a bunch of big lots. Well, not huge lots, but like 23, you know, in those ranges. All came in and they were all random. That really looked like retail traders going short there. But it held. Still no orders at 08 yet. There they come. Yeah, I think that did it. I'm a little suspicious that we have yet to see the E-mini really move. In fact, the E-mini did tick down a little bit there. Just by a tick, but so that seems odd. ZF seems to be going down a lot more than ZN is. But that would make sense. That's the way that the spread is. I can see the spread. Yeah, exactly. It looks like a great spot to short FYT. Oh boy. Yeah. I think they may have just caught a couple of people if they tick down again. And it really looks like the 5-year would like to do that. Okay, so they're the 5-year, but they didn't put anything on it, and the 10-year didn't react to it. Well, I'm going to stick to this going down further based off of the spread. I can't explain the way that that spread came in on the order flow, but I can see very clearly that that's a good spot to short the FYT. Okay, they did hold it. Hmm. I don't know. Well, that doesn't look too positive for me, does it? Man, 5-year came back really hard on that. See that? That spike. Let's be careful because every time that we've thought we're having a breakout, it's reversed there. Yeah. This suddenly does not look so attractive, does it? That move up and the FYT is going down. That was some pretty convincing volume to the upside, wasn't it? Especially in the 5-year. Yeah, well, yeah, so I really should have gotten out down there, shouldn't I? But it really looked like it was about to go through. So I guess I got tricked there. And by the time, I had realized that it had pivoted, I was already basically at break even. So I think that was more me being slow than it was, you know what I mean? I did really think about taking it off at 8 when we were getting the absorption in there. But then it was, they broke through it and it was kind of looking like, oh, we could take it again. Even right now, I kind of feel like we could pivot and test that again. But I don't think I can take that short after it coming up so much. Yeah. What looked bearish about those orders refreshing and holding? Oh, well, I thought that they were breaking through it. I thought that they had, when they came back down and there wasn't anything holding it there in the 5-year. I thought that meant that it was going to go through, but then it ticked up again, and then they really took it up, didn't they? I have to watch it again to see how I was thinking, but yeah, no, you're right. You're not being flippant. You're right. I should have taken it off at 08 on the absorption at 08. But I mean, you could hear me talking at the time. I thought it was going to go through. It was just wrong. Well, they broke that last pivot high. Jeez. So again here, ZN is absorbing like they're doing a level break setup, which is not an actionable signal off of today's action. The 5-year got some significant bubbles there. No. Okay, so there now the E-mini is turned. So did we just move like that because of the E-mini? Well, it seems like the E-mini turning around a little bit is what is affecting us from moving up. Just small ranges within a larger range. Let me turn the volume back on this. I don't know. So if we break through here, I think it could be pretty ugly. Because in the 5-year, there's still a ton of people short. Yeah, well, just waiting for Wednesday and mostly Thursday. So something I've seen happen many times before is it's no news Tuesday, and you expect it to be really quiet, and it ends up being a trend day. Now that would be kind of weird considering that we just had some pretty big trends last week. But I'm just saying sometimes big players use days like today to make their moves exactly because we're all expecting it to be a quiet, small range sort of a thing. But uh, um, there's an equal probability here that it moves further versus it goes down. So if it goes down, I think that they're going to go down. They're going to go lower than the 020.
Tucker said if we break higher here I think it gets flipped hard. Low volume higher equals acceleration in price, then the longs offer out and drive it back into range.
Yeah. Now, I mean, look at all this volume that's coming through, though. This is more volume than just arranging. And they're pushing through pretty easily, too. Look at that. Okay, so if Tucker is right, then this would be the spot. Since they ticked higher, this would be the spot where the shorts would come in hard. Am I right? See, just look at the cumulative delta here. So you could go lower, and that would be being right there on it flipping here. Or it could take a tick higher, and then you could get a further trend to the high of the day. Hmm. Well, all that volume here at the top has to be new people coming in going long, because it's much more cumulative delta than we were from the open. Okay. So it's been here at this 04045 place in ZF many times. You know, the E-mini's kind of all over the place here too. Look at that. Look at the E-mini. My butt is falling asleep, guys. Yeah. Need to not sit like that. Ouch. ADA struggling to break the Ishimoku cloud. See, that's no good. That is something that wants to break higher. If ZF breaks a new high, I think you're going to see a lot of stops. Oh, look at that. Yep. A tick up like that, it's going to break a new high. Hopefully I can just let this one ride. Okay. So that got taken. Oh wait, there was some rejection there at the high. That doesn't mean that they won't attempt it again. Actually, just kind of makes the situation worse if they break a new high.
Fran said, why am I still sitting on my hands?
Okay. So now we're getting absorption at 14. And at 5.5. See, look at this. Now they're stacking at 14. They actually beat out the bid now. That was a very strong bid. What I see here was a strong move up, rejection of the high, pullback, consolidation. I don't see the sellers overwhelming the buyers yet, but it could happen just like that. So that time that bid got a little weak. Yeah, because they're trading the 5/2. Okay. Is that what we're looking for there at 050? Nope. You need this to pull. Come on. Hmm. Wow. Well, how many have we taken here? Oh. Okay. And that never got filled, then I was only 300th in line. Come on. I didn't check how many went through there, but okay. Five-year actually dropped 2 ticks on no volume. It's still not filled. Here, at 050, some absorption again, a little bit higher. too risky. This is getting too risky here. Hmm. See, there's buyers, but there's nobody can get filled at 13. Well, there's buyers in the 5-year, 10-year. I don't know about the 5-year. Steven Seagal loves crypto now? Oh, jeez. First Ellen DeGeneres, now Steven Seagal. See, I don't know if Ellen getting into the crypto market is like a sign that the rush is coming, or that we've already past peak Bitcoin. You know, Ellen is so popular that you'd think that maybe they would be one of the last people to jump on board. You know what I mean? I hate Seagal. Seagal does not seem to be how do I put this? He's done weird things in the past, right? I don't even remember what now. I'm gonna have to go and research, obviously, but my recollection is that he's not somebody that would bet my life's savings on his opinion. You know what I mean? It's called Bitcoin 2.0 on Ethereum smart contract. What I don't know. I'm starting, I will admit, my faith in Ethereum has been shaken a little bit because there continues to be hacks, and it's really holding price back. Whoa. Okay, so now they actually did hit this 13. And of course, there's a huge iceberg there. Hacks are never Ethereum's fault, though. Well, yeah, it's the people that write the smart contracts. But that's kind of why my faith in it has been shaken a little bit, because as far as I can tell, hacks are always going to be there. You know, just a poor implementation of either smart contracts or the wallet. Yeah. But the question is, are they ever going to, is that ever going to go away? Are people actually going to make smarter contracts and get rid of those bugs and stuff? Because there's a lot of money that hackers are taking out of the system. And if you say that you can't get rid of it, then are you going to say, okay, we're just going to allow the hackers to be there, and, you know, there's nothing we can do about it? Or are they going to you know, come up with some sort of what is the word? contingency plan to take care of things when this happens. What can you do about it? Limit dangerous contracts? I don't even know if that means anything. Well, I think you could make some way to be able to retroactively take it back those transactions without having to hard fork every time. I don't know what kind of system that would be, but I know there's proposals out there. But my recollection was that some people had a proposal, and the Ethereum core team said no way, right? Isn't that what happened? Well, that last tick down did not look good. Yeah, being able to roll back transactions. Yeah, because it kind of like it kind of destroys the premise behind the blockchain, doesn't it? Of course, it would have to be based on consensus, but still. Yeah, so it's kind of like lose-lose situation. And that's why I think Ethereum price is being held back. Well, let's come back to this support area many times. I'm not sure if they can hold it. But still, how much do you want it to pump with Bitcoin going like this? Well, I think it should be worth more than double what it is now. 2,000? Sure. See, there was 5,000 contracts absorbed at 13, and they pushed through it. Pushed through it a tick. Now it seems like maybe they just don't care. I'm expecting the dominance to get back around 50% no matter the price direction. Yeah. Well, so, and that's, I guess, the next curious thing is that, yeah, Ethereum hasn't moved, but neither has Bitcoin Cash. They've both been flat, while Bitcoin itself has been up almost 10% over the weekend. Yeah. So why isn't any of that money coming into the altcoins? It looks to me like the drive over the weekend was almost entirely from people in Japan buying Bitcoin itself. But I haven't seen a significant uptick in volume yet, so that's not a good sign. Ethereum has gone down 10% against Bitcoin in the past week. Yeah, what's the Bitcoin to Bitcoin Cash one? BCH BTC. It's been going down since that initial rise. All right, well, we're done for the day. Yeah. Anyways, here's this chart. So there was a big pump in Bitcoin Cash. And now it's come almost completely back. It really seems to me like for the move up that the money is going back into Bitcoin. This was when, what was this? This was on the 7th. This was like when I said it looks like a pump. You remember that? IOTA. Well, let's look. Coin market cap. Red coin. Vertcoin has been pumping really, really hard too. Dodge. I told you Dodge was going to pump up. Made safe coin. That's interesting that that one is up. Made safe coin. I think that its position at 95 is too low. So I think that that's one where you could maybe make a play on it, on the expectation that, so let's see where it's at right now. Yeah. Price and omni price in dollars. I think that here at below 50 cents, you could buy made safe coin would be an okay play. I prefer Saya coin, of course, but so you can win because this is just frustrating because I did take a sell at one point. 125. I took a sell here, and then it took another move up, and now it's come back, and it's only one tick below where I was. So like, I don't know. And here I had a winner and I had a winner. But some of these never went any ticks in my direction. So it really looks like somebody was making a bearish bet on the S&P and it didn't work out for them. They were really close too. I mean, they just needed a little push. They could have broken a new high and it would have been completely different. Spread here in FYT is kind of interesting too, because it has gone down as we predicted. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes now, because notice they never quite washed out all of the shorts that got in from the start of the session. And the ES is kind of poised for a breakout. So that means we could continue going short. Hands off. It would be okay to take one more trade, but only if it's like really, really great. Bitcoin gained 4% of dominance in the last 4 days. Was made in the top 10 at some point? Wow, I did not know that. BCH BTC does not reverse up on the support right now. I don't know what to say. Yeah. You have a good point. Like here we're in a good triangle here to see it pump up again. And it's just kind of like consolidation within consolidation. And when you look at BCH here in USD terms, okay, so here was a consolidation. In cryptocurrencies, these patterns tend to move up, but it didn't. Okay. And you could say it didn't because the whole cryptocurrency market fell apart. Okay. So the whole cryptocurrency market fell apart when we come back here. And now we're saying that it's going to start going. I mean, if it breaks, then it's going to, I just can't see. Do you get what I'm saying? It seems to me like that the selling in Bitcoin Cash is not in line with the fundamental, I guess, where we're at. But the problem is this day right here. Where was it? The 7th, right? Yeah, it was like the 7th. This day right here. The problem is this day right here. That was a pump. It shouldn't be here. It should be like 1300. It should be at like 1300. And then there should be a move up and we get up 1500 and above. And it's because there was a pump. They're kind of paying the price for it, because there's an unusual amount of selling here. Does that make sense? I'm a little rambly today. You know, I don't think my mind is working the best. There was some okay trades there. I took more trades than I probably should have, considering how uncertain it seemed like it was. And I don't know. I'm just not on today. And I'm still sitting here thinking, well, if it goes down, I could take another trade short. We'll see. We'll see. Anyways, and I even can tell talking to you guys that I'm a little bit off. But if we come here, what I wanted to show you. Okay. So here again, you can see also it was after February 18th. It was, oh no, that's February of 2018. No, it was this spot right here. Yes. Okay, so this candle right here corresponds to this little move up right here. And you can see here, huge pump. Huge pump. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's look at what has happened in past altcoins. Okay, here's one in Ethereum, or in Litecoin. So you can see kind of a similar thing. It had come up to the top of this range many times, and then all of a sudden you got this. And it broke out. Right? Dogecoin. Where is it? Dogecoin. Dogecoin. Dogecoin does this too. Many, many times. All of a sudden, up out of nowhere. And it did this in Dogecoin for a really, really long time before Dogecoin took off. And then you just look at the chart pattern. Seems like they should be able to get over 4,000. But the indicator says that the volume does not justify this move up. And then the other counter is, again, here it is in Bitcoin terms. And they could go back down to, I mean, Bitcoin is the one that's running up right now. People are buying Bitcoin. So how is Bitcoin Cash going to bump up into a new range with that going on? You know? So it seems something very fishy is going on. And it could be really, really good, but I'm a little concerned. It could be really, really good because this could mean Bitcoin Cash is about to whoosh up to 4,000. Maybe even at that point, it could be like 10,000. Okay, well, it looks like... Look at this. This is stupid. So here's 130 again. Well, I'm just gonna have to list that one because it's been there so much. 130, 135, you could buy 135 for sure because it's been in the interest area many times. Yeah. Okay, so the E-mini is looking really weak. Oh, that's good. Whoa. Okay. Well, that's an okay spot. Yeah. And they pulled. It's going to touch the new high this time for sure. I shouldn't say things like that. I probably just jinxed it, guys. There's a high probability of it breaching a new high here. Yep, they're still defending it. Did ZF hit a new high? Okay, ZF did hit a new high. ZN has not yet. I think it's going to, though. And interestingly enough, that was a down candle. Some people taking profits there at the new high. Is it over already? Wow. Why the hell would you go for Vertcoin at this point? And that's a good question, because Vertcoin seems a little fishy to me too. No reason for it to be going up like that. See that? Vertcoin looks a lot to me like there's some big fish in it manipulating the price, doing everything that they can to try and manipulate it up, but that the underlying fundamentals for it just aren't positive enough. There's just not, it just doesn't get used enough. That's what it looks like. Because I remember here on this one saying that, screw it, that was that? No, that was long before we were in here. I don't know, this whole thing, I was kind of suspicious about. Maybe I'm not reading Vertcoin objectively. I don't know. This one just seems particularly interesting and fishy to me based on my indicator. Did you see that 5 Satoshi per byte transactions are now going through in 3 blocks? That's 9 cents per Bitcoin. I'm not quite sure I understand what you're saying, what you're trying to say. Oh, you're saying why would you go for Vertcoin versus something like Bitcoin, basically? Is that what you're trying to say? Oh, Vertcoin is BCH. I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah, Bitcoin Cash does not appear at the moment to be getting the amount of transaction volume that, yeah, I would think it should. So, we had a great move up here, but the place that it is at on my indicator is not good. So I think it's worth holding on to see if they're doing the the pre-breakout thing that we see so often. But it looks fishy, guys. Well, that was not the most encouraging uptick. I don't see how it doesn't go up and make a new high after all that. Oh, why would it now that block space is not a big problem on the main chain? Well, I mean, it's not a problem today. I would be careful saying that one, because I'm sure that if we go back up to 20,000, it'll be a problem again. Where is that chart? Again. Well, geez, now it's not in my browser history, so now I have to have a mempool. There we go. Whoa, wait a second. Is that for... Oh, okay. No, we need to go back further. That's why. Okay. So here we have the memory pool. So many people said that through this this big period where it was really high, if you can see my mouse there, that was spam. Maybe. It sure did go away and come down really quickly, didn't it? But I say, if we get back up to those same price levels, I think it'll come back up again, and then it will be a problem. Because Lightning Network is just not widespread enough to handle the problem. Oh boy, they burned some bacon, I think. You hear that? I'm going to turn that off so you don't have to listen to that. Ooh, okay, so the big decline is also Coinbase using SegWit. Okay, so now that is a good theory, but do you have statistical, like, numbers analysis that conclusively proves that? Because I think we should be able to prove that conclusively, right? We could go in and we could look at Coinbase and how many transactions we're going through and calculate how much of the memory pool at the time was Coinbase, you know, and when that went through to see if that was really, it was a truck backing into my office, but to see if that's really what it was, you know what I mean? Like how much of that decline really was Coinbase using SegWit. How can we calculate that? Because here's the thing, if that's true, that kind of says two things. One, definitely it's not going to be as big of a problem. But two, maybe the theory that it was all spam is maybe not true. If we can show that most of it was... Oh, geez, come on. Can you believe this? I mean, I think it's... I still think it's going to come up and make a new high in ZN. But it's ranging too much for me to get a good price here. And I'm just taking it at the wrong spot every freaking time. And I feel like if I take it off here, then that's exactly where it's going to reverse. I mean, this is exactly where I think it should reverse at 115. And if I don't take it off, then it's probably going to try and stop run right through me. I don't know. That little drop there was a little bit too much, too fast for that particular spot. Okay, well that firmed back up quickly at 125. And I'm seeing some level 2 manipulation. Yeah. See here, I'll show you something interesting. You can see here in the cumulative delta in ZF, kind of slightly higher, but kind of a little rangy. Now look at it on my chart. Pump, 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 pump. Somebody is buying ZF and making these happen, but it's not breaking through. I don't know what that means though. I don't know if that means that we should be going short or if this is just a range, or I don't know. I guess it's just a range. We should be trying to get out at the range when we see those big pumps like we saw the one just before we got in. We should have been getting out at 14.5. Conversely, we just saw one down. That's where we should be getting out. I think that's the right way to play this. I'd have to look back at Twitter, but it was proven to the CEO that Coinbase was responsible for 30% of the memory pool spam, and they fixed it a short while after. Ooh. Okay. Well, that's enough for me to say that you're probably right, although we should definitely confirm it. But I mean, that's enough to go on, you know. So if that's true, then I think that a lot of the story is about it's all just spam, somebody attacking the network sort of a thing. This may be not true. Okay, that was a good solid uptick. Yeah. Yeah, they're pulling at 13. That scared them. Hold on a second. Okay. We need to see something trade into 13.5. And so way too weak of a bid. Okay, so they did trade into it. Alright, so I feel safe for now. What do you got in the stream? Coinbase might be the sole reason why Bitcoin is slow. They are spamming the network. Okay. Ooh, and he has a picture too. Sending Bitcoin from Coinbase temporarily unavailable. Problem fixed, sending available again. Wow. Okay.
Underscore NE0 said Coinbase is moving / move to SegWit.
That's pretty convincing, dude. Absolutely.
Underscore NE0 said that should ease it a lot.
So based off of that, okay, here's what I'm going to say about that. I think you got to be really careful about the memory pool thing still, because if one exchange can fill it up that much, you know, the problem I still see in Bitcoin is there's like all sorts of really great applications that you could have. Like, remember that that gambling website that they had, you know, and it's like one application like that, or even just look at Ethereum with CryptoKitties, right? Like, it only takes one person to screw it up. That just seems like a big problem.
NE0 said mempool is already at a super low.
Yeah. So, but it probably does mean that in this next move up, that the memory pool might not be an issue. That's all a problem of implementations. I think a lot of the time it is. So if the next move up, the memory pool is not going to be an issue, then you're right. That's not as good for Bitcoin Cash. I think that Bitcoin, just the fact that the Lightning Network appears to be growing, is been a negative on Bitcoin Cash for sure. And I think when we got that pump up, that we kind of got a little lazy and said, "Oh yeah, everything's good now." I don't know, but we could be seeing a bump. I mean, it could be about to break out, because I've seen that in the indicator many times. Yeah, remember when BTC dices were rolled on the chain? Exactly. It's like it's just really it really bothers me that the chain itself is not scalable on its own. We were spamming it so much it was as full as a couple of months ago. Yeah, that was way back when, right? I don't know. The question, I guess the next thing that you have to wonder in Bitcoin Cash, though, is like, who's selling it? You know? Is it just the person, whoever it was that pumped it up, took a profit? I wish there was better order flow tools in Bitcoin, so we could kind of see, like, oh yes, somebody very clearly bought a ton of Bitcoin Cash here and used market orders to buy it all the way up, and now they're slowly taking it all off, and we should see, you know, the orders go back down to here, and then we know that they're completely out and it's safe to maybe buy again. Okay, well, that little move up that we had in the note was not enough. For us to go down again, I think we would need to see the EMA need to make another push down. If it was doing it, it's right near a pivot. Oh, I think it's worth a shot. One faucet's used to give you 5 Bitcoin. Yeah. Well, it's kind of interesting how much the sentiment has changed. We need to talk to the guys in Discord a little bit, because last week the focus was all just Bitcoin dominance is going down. Bitcoin dominance is going to continue going down. We could maybe see a flipping anytime now. You know, like I was hearing things like that, and now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, Bitcoin dominance is it's just going to keep going up, and everybody wants to buy Bitcoin. I guess maybe the one piece of caution we should have with all of this is that it looks to me, I mean, Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum and Bitcoin followed fairly closely most of this recovery, this move up. But over the weekend, there was a lot of buying in Japan, and it was only in Bitcoin. And I think that the move was not very broad. Right now, drama, by the way, Peter Brandt and CNBC. I'm not going to turn that on. But, you know, the fact that it's not a broad move says to me that either Bitcoin could come back, or we could later see Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum move up. Either way, though, I don't think I'm going to change any of my allocations. I did take some Bitcoin Cash off and it was only like $30 worth, and I moved some into my Sia coin and Verge, which are both like $10 positions an hour or something like that. Oh, actually, my Sia coin is more like $50 worth. I still really like Sia coin. Sia coin, Sia coin. I think you say it's Sia coin, right? There you go. Okay. Yeah. That was some tricky business, and the buyers just revealed their hand. Ooh. Wow. Okay, but they held it. Oh, there's no way. I mean, this could break either way. Okay, that was a little bit better of a tick up. And the 130 is pulling. Over two. They're getting a little bit of selling volume coming into the E-mini now. Let's post that in Discord. Yep. See this white line here, 057. So maybe we could come back up to that and we'll see if they pull or if they test it. Yeah, mempool is already at a super low. Mempool will definitely still go up, but it probably won't be as big of a problem as last run. Hmm. So we saw a big hold there on the bid, and now here at 125, 130, it's dead again. And they've ticked down a few times. It was like that guy just is not there anymore, or at least doesn't care that it did that. And the E-mini has ticked up again a little bit. So it's hard to see if the E-mini is gonna fall. 15 books on Scala programming for $10. Wow. Well, I have there's a pretty good free book online for Scala though. So I don't know if I would really I would do that, but that's a really good deal. And Scala is a great language to learn right now because Scala is basically like replacing Java. Scala is an attempt to fix all of the problems in the Java programming language. But it brings in its own issues. The biggest issue with Scala is that compiling something with a new version of Scala completely changes the dependencies. So basically, if you have a dependency, like let's just say that there's version 1 of Scala, and then we get to version 2 of Scala. So now we have our application, and so now we're working on version 2 of Scala, but we have a dependency that was made in version 1 of Scala. It's not compatible. You have to have the source code for that dependency to recompile it under version 2. And so everything in Scala is like, you just download all of the source for everything and build all of it. And maybe that's okay for open source development and the people that kind of drove Scala development. But for a business, that's just a no-go. You just can't do that. It's just not feasible. So it's a problem with Scala, even though it's a great language. I don't know if that means Java's going to die out or what. €1 is one. Oh yeah, it's like $15. Plus, they're like the shipping on it, because sometimes you get those deals, and then once you actually get into the shipping and all that stuff, it's yeah, Scala is free, and there is a really good, I forget what it is, but they link it from the Scala website that gives you a pretty good rundown of the whole language. That is more than enough to learn with. They're playing games with the level 2 here. It was at 29 at one point, and now it's at 17. And it pulled for no reason. The E-mini is looking like... So the E-mini went down to the other side of the range. Can pull that over. The E-mini's on the other side of the range. It still looks weak, but the pawns aren't going. Okay. It's good to hold. It's on Humble Bundle. I've bought many hundreds of dollars there before, which is why I have over 3K. Oh man. I have a friend. We used to do a website. And because because he owned the website and he was a journalist, he got like a Steam journalist pass. So he gets like everything for free, and he has so many games over there. Yeah, I haven't even downloaded them all. Yeah, you can get carried away with the Steam sales for sure. There's many games. I mean, now I don't buy games very often, and all the ones that I bought on there were really, really good games. But like with one that I got that I never finished playing all the way through was the last BioShock game. I never finished it. So I'm kind of only a one game guy. I find that one game that I feel really competitive about and just play that. Humble Bundle is great, yeah. we ever gonna tick up here? Come on. If we can get over this wide line, we could have a good up move. Okay. So we've seen volume on both sides, and we see the inside level 2 switching back and forth both sides too. But in the ZF, they're buying it. Okay. That's a little better. Ugh. I mean, that bid is weak enough that we could just as easily tick back down again. The 5-year really wants it. There we go. Okay, that's a little better. Thing is, I play mostly free games. Well, there you go. Well, I really hate buying stuff new. Like a really so the game I really like is Soul Calibur, and they're releasing a new Soul Calibur, and so I thought, well, I should get into some other fighting games and kind of prepare myself for when Soul Calibur comes out. So I bought the big new new game right now in the fighting scene is Dragon Ball FighterZ. It got added into the lineup for what is the name of the tournament that they got, the Shiroyukin one? Yeah, I forget the name of it now. But oh geez, there's another 5K traded there. Didn't they absorb 5K at 13 last time? Anyways, so I got that, and you know, it's a fairly new game, so it was like $50, and yeah, it was. I really didn't want to do. I was like, I don't know if I really like. I felt really uncertain about buying that, but it's been a fun game, so I would say it was worth it. Don't know much about fighter games. It is a in terms of niche communities within the gaming community, the fighting game niche is probably the most established and stable and vibrant, because they always have new games come through, you know, and they always have new lifeblood. Whereas you compare that to, like, say, the arena FPS guys, you know, that one's just dead. And anytime something ever comes out for it, they don't like it, it doesn't go anywhere. But for the fighting game scene, you know, not only are there always new fighting games coming out, but they have this huge ecosystem for making your own controllers and figuring out how to play the game and playing those games competitively and all these things. It's pretty crazy. Like, they have a more developed scene than some of the popular games out there, actually. Believe it or not. So, okay, so now we've traded up, and that 057 went from 5,000 to 3,000. Now they haven't. Did they trade into it? I don't think they traded into it yet. No, they did trade into it. They did. Wait. Let's see. Okay. They did not. They have not traded 057 yet. Let's see what it does when they touch it. So that was a lot of orders that pulled up, you know, with us just getting right below it. Yeah, but it's the oldest gaming scene too. That's a good point. So there's been those guys, some of those guys have been into it since Street Fighter 2. Did like Killer Instinct. I always really liked that one, but I didn't, I never got a chance to really play it because I didn't have any of those consoles. I went, so I went from, I had a Nintendo, and then I went to a Sega. And then when all of those other consoles came out, like the PlayStation, the Nintendo GameCube, and all those, I didn't mess with those. And I had a Dreamcast. And I loved my Dreamcast. And of course, we all know the history of the Dreamcast. And I was so bitter that I said I will never buy another gaming console again. And I didn't. And I hadn't played any of these other things like the Nintendo Wii and stuff until I got married, because my wife and her kids had a Wii. And now, you know, they get every Nintendo thing that comes out. But I'm still like, you know, like a PlayStation 4. Maybe it would be nice to have a PlayStation 4 for fighting games, but now that I can get them on the PC, nah. I'm just going to play them on the PC. Well, they seem awfully determined to just stay at 13 in the note, don't they? I don't think that they're going to do it until they tick up in CF. And for it to do that in CF, somebody's going to have to step in and be like, I'm going to go for a new high. So we've been in this trade for a long time, haven't we? 40 minutes? That's usually not a good sign. Okay. Well, the bid is still absorbing. Not too promising in the 5-year, okay. It ticked up. Would like to see that firm up a little bit better than that. Probably over 1,000 would be best. Yep, or it just ticks back down like that. Okay.
Citizen T for Ketone said.
What's this? Made safe coin. Yeah. Fake out. Or you're saying that it was a fake break, that it was about to make a breakout and it had faked? Yeah. But it had a good run in the past 24 hours. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying I think its position. I think it's like a top 50 coin, maybe. And it's like 95th right now. So for a really speculative play on something that we think could go up in market cap, I think that Made Safe Coin is a good candidate. I don't know if it's the best candidate. There's a lot of coins in that category that we've identified as in there. Well, this is sure stuck in the mud. It looks weak. It's not really attracting a ton of sellers, although there has been some selling through here. Good deal. Good tick up. If should qualify. It's good that it's ticking up. It's not like a solid tick or anything. This has just been so slow. Can't find Soul Calibur. Is it not on PC then? Well, so the Soul Calibur that I'm talking about hasn't been released yet. I think it's going to be, is it 5 or 6? I think it's going to be 6. I think it's going to be Soul Calibur 6. And it's still in development. I think it'll come out like midsummer or something like that. Yeah. And the old versions of Soul Calibur were all on console. But this new version, Namco has been putting all of their games on Steam. So they had the first one they did was Tekken 7, and now they've got the Dragon Ball Fighter Z. They have a pretty sweet online system for these games too. It's like lobbies and everything. It's pretty impressive. Thought about doing Tekken 2, but Dragon Ball Fighter Z looks a lot more popular, so I went with that one, even though it's a 2D fighter. Super pretty game, though. Very pretty. Ugh. Yeah, I think that tick down just killed us. So we're not going to get out at 12. Now, did the E-mini... Interestingly enough, the E-mini did go down. And it just did not result in a strong move in Treasuries when it did it. Yeah. Ooh, Dragon Ball FighterZ 30% discount. Well, it sounds like I got screwed then. Okay, so that was definitely the last trade we can take. I'm really disappointed. I really thought that we were going to touch the high, or we were going to break a new high. Probably still could. We do still have 45 minutes left. Always check istthereanydeal.com. Okay. Do they do just games? Oh, okay. Oh, wow. It keeps track of like 50 game selling sites. Including bundles. Not bad. So what's our problem here? Why am I trading so poorly today? 5 losers. I took them in both directions. I sold at 09.5. Okay, so that one range bound day at the VWAP, it went. There was some absorption. Clearly should have taken that one off. This right here was the only really solid trade. And we were still selling at that point. 125. Sorry, when did we take that? 719. We sold it. So that one was a bad move. I think that we took that one because it came up and it looked like it was pivoting, and I thought, well, it's a range day, so I should try selling it. And look, that was clearly the wrong choice. Interesting that my first sell there afterwards, 125, we're still never able to get very much lower. And all of these other ones were just taking at 125, 135. So I've been trading a range and getting knocked around that range. I've been foolishly expecting breakouts of the range and not getting it. So if we were to take another trade here, what should we be doing? Well, it looks like this buy is pretty much petered out. I suppose you could start going short and expecting range extension short, but we have been awfully range bound, and the range has been basically 110 here. We're at the bottom of the range, so this would be a terrible spot to go short. So I think the answer is probably I should be looking for a short if I was going to take another trade, but not here. Conversely, I could be taking a long here. Maybe, so if I saw some absorption here, maybe we could take it long. Clearly no edge for me at this spot. Yeah, I'm just thinking about like how I should have traded it. The only trade I see was when we were at 08. I should have bought it there. We could have faded the extreme there on absorption. Every other trade that we've seen going the other way, I think, has been fighting momentum too much. And that there was probably just as much of a probability that it would have gone through him. Just the worst kind of day for me, I guess. I've never tried trading items on Steam. How do you trade them to people? How does that work? I have some games that I would like to just... My son has an account and I'd prefer that they just go straight to his account because otherwise he plays them through the shared library thing. And when he's playing it on a shared library thing, I can't play anything on my machine. Which is annoying as F. Which is annoying AF. Man, this Bitcoin Cash chart is just looking poor. Somebody's really, seems to me like somebody's really trying to kill Bitcoin Cash. or perhaps some Bitcoin Cash guys are fleeing to Bitcoin. Now the E-mini still looks weak. But it didn't really respond to it last move down, did it? Well, you could maybe buy it at 120 here. Let's just say we bought it at 120. Did they get a new high? That looks to me like the next entry.
Alligator said agree, probably more opportunities later. These levels look like support, S1ZN etc. So it's slow but not a bad idea to take position there, although RN a bounce is in. Fran said. Fran said very much in sync today, algos must be turned off, pattern isn't there. Fran said. Fran said a more typical pattern from February 12th. Fran said auctions and minutes probably holding bonds back.
Yeah, it really does look like that it was just the news kind of held us back. Although, I mean, we did have a move. I just read it wrong, and then I took too many trades. I should have taken like 3 trades. And I was just telling them I would, if I hadn't have already decided this was not the day for me, I would be going long 120. So maybe now that I'm not taking it, that means that for sure it's going to work out. There's some big absorption there at 120. Wow, and they put a huge offer when they took it. Alex
Brand said,
Vanders Wan is accused of making false or misleading statements regarding email communications with Richard Gates.
Brand said ZN is almost perfect balance, so not much to be done.
He's a Russian lawyer who apparently talked to Richard Gates. I don't think that's actually a good thing for the investigation, because that explains why Richard Gates is doing what he's doing right now. That doesn't necessarily mean that there's an opening that he has something on anybody else. Well, I might be reading that wrong, but I'd Rush Limbaugh, I'd grant America's entire illegal population citizenship as long as they can't vote for 15 to 25 years. Okay. Man. I wonder how people are going to react to that one. They're reading this as Rush Limbaugh giving in. Oh, he actually proposed something similar 5 years ago. This proposal is essentially an admission that the true reason conservatives hate amnesty isn't because undocumented immigrants are more crime-prone, as a recently spat of highly questionable restrictionist studies have tried to show, nor does it have anything to do with illegals being welfare queens, given that no one works harder than illegal immigrants. Employment among undocumented males is 90%. Furthermore, illegals by and large shun states with generous welfare benefits, flocking towards those with plentiful jobs instead. Nor is this about protecting native jobs and wages, because research has repeatedly shown immigrants compete with other immigrants not natives. In short, anti-immigration animus in the GOP has less to do with ideological restrictionism and more to do with partisan politics. Conservatives oppose amnesty because they fear that immigrants will vote Democratic. Well, they fear that immigrants vote Democratic? Listen, guys. Immigrants vote Democratic. That's unquestionable. And if you allow the amnesty, that's absolutely without question hurts GOP's electability significantly. Like Republicans never win another election again significantly. Dalmia, oh, so this guy says I'm wrong though. Calls the belief that immigrants will vote Democrat once they're nationalized. A massive misperception at best. Yeah. Oh, they're just saying that the percentage that they actually add isn't that big of a deal. I'm not buying that argument. Hmm. Maybe. I think that there's another part to it that this article isn't covered. I think that Republicans don't want to do amnesty because it's a question of fairness in their minds. They think that it's wrong to give people that broke the law a faster spot in line to becoming citizens for breaking the law, and that will encourage more people to break the law. And so even if you did an amnesty, you would have to see pretty dang strict, really convincing, full e-verify everywhere type of measures to make sure that doesn't happen. I think that the Republicans are more concerned about the rule of law. Well, just as concerned about the rule of law as they are that they'll never be elected again. That makes sense. Without gerrymandering or electoral vote, Republicans would already almost never win. Yeah. Well, they would almost never win the presidency, at least. When you look at the gerrymandering issue, it's a little bit more complicated than that because, while it's true that population-wise Democrats outnumber Republicans, you can't necessarily say that one way of dividing up the districts is better than another way. There's advantages and disadvantages to any way that you slice this up. That's kind of the problem. The best that you can do is say that those decisions weren't made with a partisan bias in mind, which, I mean, come on. That's never going to be the case. Whoever's drawing those lines are always going to have partisan considerations. But there's definitely something wrong when when it's gerrymandered the way that it is in some places. So I don't know what you do. Oh, don't get me wrong, Jim's Democrats gerrymander too. Yeah, sure. No, but I'm just saying, what if we made a rule that said that the boundaries will be written by this algorithm? Okay? How would you determine the algorithm? Like, how do you say that this algorithm is better than this algorithm? It's not something that that is like, written in stone. It's largely your opinion on this way is better than this way. And since you can't get rid of the partisan bias, there's always going to be some degree of gerrymandering. And I think that the way that things are right now, with so much of the country, so much of the Democrat base being only in cities, and so much of the Republican base being only in the, what is the word I'm looking for? They're not in cities, right? I think that alone kind of favors Republicans. Does that make sense? hospital, firefighting, and police-oriented zones. Well, yeah, it's much. One of the things I learned when I was in New York was I understood why the liberal perception and bias is the way that it is, because when you live in a big city like New York, government is everywhere, right? You can't go around the corner without seeing a police officer in New York City. And so your perception about government is completely different than if you live in, the middle of nowhere on a farm and you've seen a cop like, hardly ever, maybe a few times a year, and it because he's, somebody that lives in town and everybody knows his name. It's very different. And to those people, somebody from Washington coming in and saying, oh, you can't build a retaining pond there, right? It's a very different perception on government. That's so weird. I can go over a month without ever seeing a police car. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't see police cars that often where I live. And my little city has a much larger police force than you would normally think it is, because there's never been a now I don't live in the middle of nowhere. I just live in suburbs outside of Salt Lake. But there's been one shooting here in Salt Lake ever, and it was a suicide by police incident, right? And we have like this huge police force, like bigger than some parts in like Salt Lake have, for this tiny little city that has almost no crime. But even then, I don't see the cops that often. They mostly just pull people over in speed traps. Yeah, well, it's time for me to go. So, I already did my review, so I'm just going to stop right here. Hopefully we do better tomorrow.